We are back finally with part 2 of my 3DS video series. Last time we talked about my top 10 Nintendo DS games. Today we are looking at the Nintendo 3DS and my favorite games on the system. First of all, sorry for the long delay. I had some things to take care of, and then I had COVID, and then I lay there and I couldn't do any videos. I didn't feel like doing any videos, but now we are back. So today, top 10 favorite 3DS games. Not the best games, anything, just the games that I, first of all, own, which is a rather small collection, and then the games that I enjoyed, and I put them into a top 10 list, and here we are now. Now, my history with the 3DS was I skipped it when it came out, as almost everyone back then. It wasn't a very popular system for the first year or two. And then when the first Pokemon games came out in 2013, Pokemon X and Y, for my very first paycheck, for my first job, I bought a 3DS together with Adrian Odyssey 4 and I think Star Fox 64 DS or 3D or whatever the name was. And then I waited for Pokemon. So that was the set of games I had at the start. Later on, when the life system, went ahead and I played my 3DS XL for a while. And then I thought it's a bit too big to carry around. I want a smaller model, and the new 3DS, the normal model with the faceplates, I have the Kirby faceplates I got for these. And this is honestly one of my favorite systems of all time. The 3DS, the regular new 3DS, not the XL model. And it's very hard to go back to this, even though, when you play on the big screens, it is very nice, but I love the portability. It feels like a perfect little sandwich in your hands, and it's my go-to system for portable play. I really wish they would do a Switch that's kind of like this size. Like, this is what I want. Sorry for the coughing. COVID is still not completely over here. So I'm still positive, but I'm planning on filming a few videos. Hopefully not coughing into your ear the entire time. Cheers to you having a peppermint tea, because I'm sick. So no fancy teas for me at the moment. Only liters and liters of minty freshness. So, top 10 games. Let's start with one people really didn't like when it came out, even though it looked promising, it looked fun. And in my opinion, it was one of my favorite 3DS experiences. So it's here, number 10, Hometown Story. For those of you who don't know, Hometown Story is the half unofficial sequel to the Harvest Moon series. The original creator left the developer and made Hometown Story. However, in the West, Natsume owned, it's not on the packaging, because in Europe it's published by Rising Star, who also did the Harvest Moon games. But Natsume had the rights for Harvest Moon, so over here it became an official spin-off of Harvest Moon, even though in the original, it's made by the original guy behind the series, but it's not related to the Bokujo Monogatari, something like this series in Japan. And it's a weird little mix. You actually have a little store in here instead of a farm. And there's a lot of problems with this. It's not a great, fantastic game. But Hometown Story, very charming, very fun. I love the music in the store. And if you want a bit of a different experience, you've played all the Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games on the system, give this one a try, and I enjoyed this a lot more than some of the Story of Seasons Harvest Moon games on the system. Hometown Story, recommendation from me, just to see where the Harvest Moon creator took this series after he left it. This one, number 9 on the list, I was super excited for this, and people don't really like it because they changed a few too many things, they changed the overall tone. However, most of it is actually to my liking when it comes to playing it on a portable system. Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. Majora's Mask is my favorite Zelda game, so I was excited to get a remake of it for the DS or for the 3DS. I would have preferred a Wii U version or a proper console remake, But I think they did a great job with this game. They took basically the remake of Ocarina of Time on the 3DS and adapted it for Majora's Mask. So many people said it got too casual, and the save system is not as hard and lenient as in the original. But you have to keep in mind this has to be playable on a handheld system, and I couldn't imagine a game that's less suitable for quick pick up and play and portable gameplay than Majora's Mask. So I think they did a lot of the great changes to make it playable on a portable system and enjoyable on there too. So if you haven't played Majora's Mask, this is a good version to play. Don't listen to the haters out there. It's fantastic and I like it a lot. Now, for the next one, this was a bit of an experimental one, a sequel to a Japanese-only DS game that we never got, and that's Tomodachi Life. Basically, you have an island, you create Miis, and they all live together, and it's basically just, think like Sims, and just everyone's living together, and you have interactions, your Miis marry each other, and I just have to check if my recording is still going. Looks like it. It just kind of closed on its own on my Apple Watch here. So it's your Mii characters get married, they have children, they talk to each other, they have these like created voices. That's this like Mii, I don't know, bumbling, whatever you want to call it. It's pretty cool and has a lot of charm, like people dancing around the virtual boy, stuff like that. It's great. There you have to build the big hotel. At one point you just create a lot of Miis and then it loses its charm after, for me it was like 30 hours of playing. But if you want a game that's nice and running in the background, give Tomodachi Life a chance. Like, this is a great little life simulation game and something that Nintendo doesn't really do anymore, and I wish we got another game like this. But I think this one is like Animal Crossing, for example. You never forget your first time. Your first time will always be your favorite. So people right now, like waiting for another game in the series, I think they will be disappointed when it just, the same thing again, but on the Switch. Tomodachi Life, one of my favorites. I have so many great fun memories playing that one. We talked about the Harvest Moon Story of Seasons series, and this is my favorite of the series on the 3DS. During the 3DS era, they had really a lot of problems getting this series off the ground. It was really a dark patch for the entire series. And lots of ups and downs. The end of Harvest Moon, of course, the publisher change, new names to the Story of Seasons, and a lot of very mediocre games. And this one is the least mediocre of the bunch, I would say. Story of Seasons, Trio of Towns, a great game, back to an art style I actually enjoyed. You have 3 different towns to explore. All of them are rather small, but it's still a lot of fun. The Japanese version, there's a patch for the Western version where you can re-enable a Hamtaro as a pet. I have that version on my 3DS. I need to play it in the future, so that's something on the list, because the Japanese version had Hamtaro as a pet you could have, the little hamster anime character. And they took that out in the West thanks to licensing reasoning, I think, or they didn't want to pay for the translation of the extra dialogue, something stupid back then. And fans actually fan translated it and put it back into the Western release. So this one is the Story of Seasons Harvest Moon game on the system I recommend. Not necessarily because it's one of the very best, but because the other ones were just kind of disappointing to me. Now, the game I actually got the 3DS for, Pokemon X and Pokemon Y, they're the same game. I don't think I need to talk about these. I was super excited, the jump to 3D. I skipped the DS games because I thought it just didn't grab my attention anymore. And when they did the jump to 3D, many people hated it. I really, really liked it. This was one of my favorite 3DS games, favorite Pokemon games of all time. I would still count this one after Generation 2 as probably my favorite generation, even above Gen 1, even though, they may be battling a little bit, X and Y and Gen 1. But I actually replayed this a year ago or 2 years ago, and there are a few big faults. It's a fantastic, breathtaking Pokemon experience until the 3rd batch. And after that, it just very linear, very short towns. And I think they just ran out of money. And we were all hoping they would do an upgraded version with Pokemon Z, because this game really needed it. So many little construction sites they didn't quite finish and need to work on a bit more. So I hope we can get a finished version of this game in the future. But even though there is still a lot to be fixed in this game, this is still my favorite on the 3DS. Which isn't saying much because Sun and Moon suck balls. So Pokemon X and Y it is. I'm not a big fan of strategy RPGs, which is why you don't see a lot of this style of game in my collection. And during the 3DS, like the Fire Emblem series just blew up, and there were like 10 million bajillion games in the series. And my favorite that I've played is Fire Emblem Shadows of Valencia Echoes, a remake of the second Fire Emblem game on the Famicom. And what I really liked about this one is, as I said, I don't really like strategy RPGs, but this one actually has dungeon crawling in it and like random overworld encounters and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed this. I don't need to talk about Fire Emblem too much. Little mannequins and you do like chess pieces and then you defeat the enemy. Actually beat this one, quite a bit of fun, and the dungeon crawling really gave it the spice I'm always looking for when I have a game like this, because the strategy battles just never do it for me. I lose interest very quickly, but this one grabbed me until the end. I've heard people didn't like this one too much. I really loved it. And it's very basic because it's a Famicom game, so live with that. Fire Emblem Echoes, number whatever it is on the list right now. I got this game because everyone was super excited when it came out, and I skipped it because it was on the Wii, and I hate the Wii. I don't want to play on the stupid Wii, especially not with the waggle stick. So I waited for a better version and we got it on the 3DS. Better version is arguable, but you didn't have to have the waggle stick in your hand, so you could use actual controls for everything. Which you could do on the Wii too, but I didn't want to play on the Wii. God damn it. Xenoblade was so wasted on the Wii. Thank God we have better versions of the game right now. I mean, it's the first Xenoblade game. It's great. I played it on the 3DS, and of course it's exclusive to the new 3DS, so I had to play it on the teeny tiny screens, which is not really recommended because, you know, it's a big epic game, you know, Xenoblade is big open world and really not suitable for little pocket screens like this. Still, I made all my way through it for all the 80, 90 hours it took me to play through it. Phenomenal story, I loved all the characters. The battle system wasn't really my thing. I really enjoyed that more in Xenoblade 2 later on. But this is a good version to play. Nowadays there's the Switch version with another add-on and all of that. But if you want one closer to the original Wii version, but you don't want to play on the Wii, I'm sure this one is a good version to play, even today. And you really need the second stick on there. Like, this wouldn't have worked on the original DS or 3DS, I think. So, we're at the top 10 right now. Top 10 games on the Nintendo 3DS. And one of them is my first game I bought for the system. And that was Adrian Odyssey 4 Legends of Titan. So far, my first and only Adrian Odyssey game I have played. And there were a lot on the DS. I was always interested, but I didn't really buy it. Like, there were stacks of the first one for like 10 euros in every store. I never picked it up. I really wish I did, but I never did. So Adrian Odyssey 4 was my first one, and I really didn't like it when I bought it. And I put it aside for a solid 3 or 4 years. Like, I played through the first dungeon. When I got my 3DS, it was my first 3DS game, so I wanted to play it. And I didn't feel it, like I was not in the right mood for a game like this. It's a dungeon crawler, you draw your own map, you make your own party, there's next to no story, and maybe I was hoping for a bit more of a story, which, you know, the Adrian Odyssey games really do not provide. But then a few games later, I picked it up and I was in the mood for a more gameplay-based and less story-based game. And then that's when it clicked, and I played this for a solid like 100 20, 30, 40, 50 hours. And I did the extra dungeon in the end, the post-game, and I re-rolled my characters multiple times. Because when you hit the level cap, or like the skill cap, you can actually re-roll to an earlier level, but you keep all your skill points and then you can level up again. There are a few like auto-leveling techniques where you just leave your 3DS on for a night, then you level a character, then you do it all again. It's so much fun. Dungeon crawler, if you don't mind drawing your own map. I think this had an auto mapping function actually built in. I'm not so sure right now, but I drew all my own maps. So we are still waiting for a sequel. We had the 5th one on 3DS. Then they said, oh, we are making one for the Switch, and it got never announced. Or it got announced, like before the Switch even came out. I think it was still in the NX days. They said, yeah, we are making a new Adrian Odyssey game for you to enjoy on the Switch. Still to this game, nothing from that. We got ports of the DS trilogy, and that's it. I really want a new one. I'm like excited for that. I want an Adrian Odyssey on the Switch, on my TV, and play that. Now, we have the next two, and I think these are like head-to-head two RPGs I really like, two remakes of RPGs. That's what we got a lot on the 3DS, a lot of ports of like PS2 games or remakes of DS games with better and enhanced graphics, things like that. That was the home. They were on home on the 3DS. And like these are head-to-head, but let's start with this one. Dragon Quest VII, my favorite Dragon Quest game of all time. I've never played the original, but this one is fantastic. It's time travel, it has a great story, fantastic characters, the gameplay. I played this one right after Adrian Odyssey 4, which is a very fast pace, like bam, 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 like auto-attacking, and everything is just so snappy and fast. Then you get to this, and this is like you're walking through the mud, and like you can't get forward. Each A press is its own thing, so it was, quite old school compared to Adrian Odyssey 4. But you get used to it, and then you have a lot of fun. I also played the 8 remake port, whatever you want to call it, on the 3DS. But Dragon Quest VII, I've heard they improved quite a few things from the PS1 original, which has a lot of backtracking and annoying leveling, and it's very slow, and like 100 hours on disc 1 alone, stuff like that. But very excited for this. It also has a fan patch that gives you the orchestrated soundtrack from the Japanese release that we never got over here. We got a great soundtrack, but it doesn't hold a candle to the orchestrated versions. So if you play the games, if you play this game or Dragon Quest VIII, to get the orchestrated add-on patch for that one. Now, number 1, which is a remake of a DS game that we never got over here. It was US and Japan only, so I never played it on the DS, which is quite good because I've looked at a bit of the story of Radiant Historia Perfect Chronology. And this one has a new ending and a new route and new characters. And when I looked up like the ending of the original DS game, I thought like there's half the game missing. It shouldn't end here. So because what they added here I think is so fundamental and important to all the characters and the story that this is actually the version to play. Like, don't play the DS version, you're wasting your time. Odyssey, Radiant Historia, again, time traveling, very, very text heavy. So it's almost like a visual novel and reading a book at times. And the gameplay is really like a second fiddle to the whole story. And the story is so gripping and amazing in this game. This is one of the few times where I actually just downloaded the demo of the eStore and said, okay, let's check this out. And after like 7 or 8 hours after the demo, I thought I need to play this game right now. So I went out to the store and bought the game the same day I finished the demo. Like, it's one of the few times where story was actually so captivating and interesting to me that I couldn't wait until later to play the game. I needed to get it right now. So, waiting to Historia, if you're into time traveling, RPGs, an interesting, great story, get this one. Probably it's an Atlas game, very expensive and hard to find nowadays, but you know what to do. And that's actually it for my 3DS top 10 list. What's your favorite games? Because I'm still hunting around, especially for some of the physical editions of the Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons games I do not have in my collection right now. I'm still missing a few of them. But anyway, yeah, tell me your favorite 3DS games. Tell me if I could recommend you anything in this video, because I was really excited with the reception of my DS video I did a few months ago before I had to redo everything. And it was exciting. People told me, oh yeah, you got me interested in Custom Rover Arena or something. And I'm always excited to hear this. So if you want to check out any of these games, tell me in the comments and give me your recommendations for my personal 3DS shopping list for the future. Thanks very much for watching. See you in the next video. Hopefully soon. I have some things planned. One video about Silent Hope for the Switch, which is another game I played the demo for. And I'm excited because I think I told this when I talked about my Switch games here a little bit. Like, Marvelous is doing the games I enjoy in this console generation. And Silent Hope, it's another spin-off of the Story of Seasons games. So I'm excited for that. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.